All right, Brad, recording in five, four, three.
Welcome to Life's Undertaking. I'm your host, Brad Jones, and with me as always, well, kind of with me in spirit and digitally, is my good friend and co-host and producer, Mike.
Brad, I'm going to paint a picture for the listenership, okay?
All right, you paint.
I see somebody outside. I can even see like the shadows of the leaves as the wind blows the trees. I see a lake or some body of water. It's beautiful what I see, and that's not just you, Brad, but you look so relaxed. I'm jealous. Where are you right now? And I should point out to the listenership that your mic cuts out periodically, and it's not me.
Yeah, it's definitely my technology. Um, you know, I'm not the most technologically advanced person in the world, that's for sure. So it's but it's better than just using the computer microphone, I'm pretty sure.
Well, you do sound good when we hear you. You sound good. I will also point out you're drinking it looks like an alcoholic beverage. What are you drinking?
I've got a nice summer beverage that a concoction I made up. It's a shot of bourbon with some Strongbow. Normally, I'll have a couple maraschino cherries in it, and it's got some bitters in it as well.
So you're just like decompressing. You're just relaxing.
I am. Yep, spending some time up north um, at our cottage, which has been in Jody's family for she's a third generation, so it's a beautiful place to get away to and spend some time in the summertime.
How many of your six children will make an appearance during your vacation here?
So far we've had four at one point.
Oh,
Um, we just have one with us now, just Emma. But we had Jessica, we had Tyrell, and we had Bray here as well. So we're just missing Josh and Elijah, and I'm not sure if we'll see those in the next 2 weeks that we're up here. But there's a good chance that one of them might make it up.
well, you know what Meatloaf said? He said 4 out of 6 ain't bad.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But it's nice. It's weather.
Well, there's your mic cutting out again, Mr. Jones. Every time your mic cuts out, I'm going to report to the listenership. I think it's a faulty cable.
I probably right. I think you're probably right that it's a faulty cable.
Well, that's good news because it's cheaper to replace the cable than everything else. So, but you come and go, but you're here right now. So, when will you return to the city?
We're back in the city next Wednesday evening. So another week here.
I want to thank you for coming to my event last Thursday. That was about what was that 6 days ago. It was amazing that to have the great Brad Jones at Great Lakes Brewery for TMLX 19. Good to see you there, buddy.
Yeah, actually, stop in. I was there for I think it was about almost an hour, and then I had to run. I had I joined a group, a whiskey tasting group. Um, so I found this group on Facebook in the South Etobicoke community group, and they used to do a wine tasting group, and I had the opportunity to join their inaugural whiskey tasting. So it was, I think we tasted five or six whiskeys, and I think about three or four beers. It was a great night.
So let me get this straight. You left the brewery after an hour to make your way to drink more beer and whiskey.
I did. I did. And at the end of the whiskey tasting, at the end of the evening, we got to enjoy some of the stuff that we were sampling, some of the different bourbons and scotches and Irish whiskeys. So, a few more extra drinks on top of the ones that we tasted. It was a great night. It was a perfect night to get a ride to and from, as opposed to driving your own car.
Well, I knew that would be the case because you're a responsible member of the community. But I think it's really cool that you literally like found this group on Facebook and like joined it, and I'm sure you've made a whole bunch of new friends.
Yeah, there was 19 of us there, and I recognized a couple people and some other new people and new faces. So it was great to make some new connections, some new friends, and some fascinating stories. One of the guys that was there, he runs the Alderwood softball league. Um, just a wealth of knowledge for our community, and spending some time talking to Derek and his group that was there was is pretty good. They actually do a wine tour in November down to Niagara on the Lake, so I think I'll be joining that group when they go there too.
My oldest played a couple of years with the Alderwood softball teams that they have. I don't remember what that park is called, but it's like you're in Marie Curtis, and then you go along Etobicoke Creek, and then they have the diamonds.
Yeah, down in that little gully right by Sherway Gardens.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. I'm not sure what it's called either, but yeah, that's where they're out of, and they've been around for I think it was I want to say 50 to 70 years now, which is pretty remarkable for any sports group to be around that long.
Do you still play softball?
I haven't played softball in a long, long time. I worked at a funeral home years ago before I went to Ridley's, and they had a softball team. So, there was a bunch of us that played on the team, and it was great because there was times that you couldn't play because you were working, and then other times that other people couldn't play. So there's probably about 20 of us that joined the team, and you'd hope that the night that you'd have a game, you'd have at least 9 or 10 of them that would show up.
Did you have a minimum woman component? Like sometimes they have like you have to field at least 3 women.
They did. Yep, they did. So, yeah, I can still remember the funeral directors that were on that group and part timers and interns. It was a lot of fun, and it was even better afterwards. The game was over, and everyone would stick around and have someone would have a cooler of beer, and you'd all sit around and drink some beer. It's kind of like when you grow up and you watch the movies from the 80s, right? This is what you thought adulthood would look like. You watch the movies like About Last Night, and it was the company baseball teams and things like that. And you realize when you get older that Hollywood is a little bit different than the real world, but there's still a lot of the things that we do, right? Like we join these groups, we join these teams, and it's just like the whiskey tasting. It was a great thing to go and enjoy that night, and I look forward to the next one that they're doing. And they invited Jody and I to come out to their next wine one, which will be in September. But Jody's going to be away for a few weeks in September, but we're looking at maybe doing the October one. And I said that Ridley's would actually sponsor it because they're going to do it around Halloween. So I figured it'd be a good fit for the funeral home.
Absolutely. Now, I noticed a common thread with all these leisure activities. Have you noticed everything has to revolve around alcohol?
Yeah, you would think it was like COVID times again with all my drinking. But no, it's I still do lots of things that don't involve alcohol, but it's interesting when you meet like-minded people, and you have people that have the same sort of interests that you have. Wine and whiskey. What can go wrong?
The reason I asked if you still played softball, I wasn't trying to sign you up for the Alderwood softball team. I think you're a little old, but I know that Ridley Funeral Home is a proud sponsor of Toronto Maple Leafs baseball at Christie Pitts, and a little birdie, no, he's also the commissioner of the Intercounty Baseball League, tells me there's going to be a softball tournament, like a celebrity sponsor softball tournament in Hamilton, like a couple of weekends from now. I wondered if I could get you to join me there.
I don't know if I qualify as a softball celebrity,
I think
but
so.
the good thing is when I look at some of the Blue Jays, I think, hey, I could be a baseball player.
Well, anything in the hammer, I feel like you'll be drawn home back to the hammer.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about
You'll
some dates and
you'll consider it. I just think that Ridley Funeral Home needs representation in this game.
yeah, I think that'd be kind of an exciting thing to do. Absolutely. Have you played softball lately?
No, I played slow pitch for 15 years, and then I kind of retired, and I haven't really played since. Although I'm thinking I might try to get into this game in Hamilton just because I don't know, I haven't played in a long time, but I kind of miss it. Like I loved playing baseball or softball or slow pitch.
Yeah, and I played soccer for years. I was probably in my late 30s when I finally quit playing soccer. But you know, something about playing in a team sport. We went into town today. We took the boat into to town, and when I say a boat, it's a 16-foot boat, aluminum boat with a 20 horsepower motor. So it's nothing too exciting. But Jody, Emma, and I went into town today, and Emma, shot some baskets, and we did some work in the basketball court, and it was uh, it was such a great day. But right beside the basketball court is the pickleball courts, and I was watching a few people play pickleball, and I haven't played it yet, and I keep thinking, you know, it looks fairly easy. It doesn't look like it's that hard. It's not as much running as tennis would be, but I can see why people are like, yeah, this is a great little sport to pick up, and you do some team stuff and play some other people, and it's a great way to meet people. Reminds me of when I used to play squash back at the Skyline Club back in the early '90s, and it was the game was great, and I had a great time playing it, but it was the getting together with the group that you played with that evening afterwards, and sharing a few drinks, and just talking about life.
I want to ask you about that. Like, so the Brad Jones I know, and I've known you for several years now, but the Brad Jones I know is like a very social animal. Like he gets involved, like you went on that trip with people from the community, and then you did the whiskey taking tasting, and then you're kind of a part of things where you meet people and you talk to people. And I wondered if you were always such a social animal.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for the social things in high school, I probably wouldn't have graduated high school. I joined everything from sporting teams to the music, bands, theater. I did student council. If there was something that I could get involved with, I got involved with it. So it was, I was definitely social, more social than most people, I would say.
Well, it's kind of inspiring in a sense that you just sort of like seek out a group and then you join it. And then you meet new people and you have these great experiences. I think there's a lot of people listening where that's not so easy.
Yeah, and it was funny when I joined the whiskey tasting. When I originally signed up, I had no idea who was going to be there. I just knew the name of the young lady who was organizing it. I saw her stuff on the Facebook group, and I went into it completely blind. So it was a different experience for me, because normally I know a few things about a group, or I know some people that are involved, but this was a completely unknown. Had no idea. It was a little nerve wracking as you walk in, but then you realize that everyone else is in the same boat as you are. And the ones that have been there before for their wine ones, they were so welcoming. They were so, gracious to anyone that was new to the group. And, I felt comfortable after about 35 seconds.
So you have zero social anxiety. Well, you mentioned a little bit when you walk in, but really like not enough because I hear from people. For example, the event you were at Thursday, TMLX 19, before you went off to the whiskey tasting. Like I'll hear from people who like want to come and meet you and meet all the people there, but it's like the idea of going to this place where there's like I don't know 100 strangers or whatever is like overwhelming.
Yeah, I'm like, I always figure I'm a good listener. I'm not a great talker. I'm a better listener. So for me, when those types of events, I don't have a lot of anxiety. I don't feel like I need to talk a lot. I just ask a few questions when I'm talking to somebody, and I let them go away and start talking, and do most of the conversation. And for me, I find that easier than being the one that has to carry the conversation and keep talking.
Okay, so tell me like a day in the life of Brad Jones when he's in vacation mode. So there you are. You look very relaxed. I'm jealous. It looks like it's beautiful weather, and here you are by the water, your cottage, and everything. What is the typical day for you up there?
Yeah, so I'll usually get up, wake up around 6 a.m. You know, lie in bed for a little bit, then I'll get up and get myself something to drink, whether it's coffee or some juice, and sit and read the news on my phone. Then we'll get out and we'll walk the dog for. We do about I don't know, it's about an hour walk, so I think it's about a 4.5, 5 kilometer walk that we do, and come back. Usually have some breakfast, putter around, whether it's moving some gravel around to fix some potholes in the driveway or cut the grass, paint some of the boathouse, but do a little few things here and there that you need to get done. And then, by afternoon, it's nice and hot. So you slip into the lake and, cool off for a bit, um, read some books, um, drink a little bit of something that makes you happy, and then there's some days I'll get up and I'll go out and do some fishing, especially if one of the boys is up here that wants to go out. So we'll go out and do some fishing for a few hours, and that's about it. And then, in the evening, sit on the porch and watch the sunset. Enjoy the coolness of the evening.
Oh, this sounds amazing to me. Like what would have to happen for you to get a work call? Like, are you at a point now where it would have to be like we need an executive decision, something's going down?
Yeah, essentially, if it really got really crazy busy. This is actually the first year that I didn't take holidays. I just said, I'm just going to take time off when I want to take time off. So there's a couple times during the summer that I'll definitely be back in the office just because I know we're short on staff. So I'll spend those weeks in the city and work. And you know, our cottage is about an hour and 45 minutes with no traffic. So I can be at work if they got crazy busy and needed help tomorrow morning, I'd be there tomorrow morning to help out.
Well, that feels like that was the goal, right? Like that you don't start at that point, right? Like the fact that you're at this point where you can just go up north and you have that phone, the bat phone or whatever, if there's an emergency and you could be down in an hour and 45 minutes, but that's unlikely to happen. Like you can just literally unplug up there.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and you're right. It didn't start out like this. It's been a long time coming. Between buying the business and taking maybe a week or two that first couple of years, and after that it was you spend a lot of time working, and even leading up to buying the business, there was a lot of time that you worked and you did what you had to do. But it's nice now that you can actually spend a little bit of time and relax a little bit. You have good people that are working with us, so you know that the funeral home's in good hands and is going to be treated well. And it's great having Tyrell coming into the business, because I look at that and it's like, okay, I'm going to be able to step back a little bit more as I get older. I'm going to be able to retire, and I'm not retiring right away, but I don't really want to be working full time at the age of 60. So it'd be nice to, just be working part time at that point to keep your foot in the door and keep active and help out on the things that you need to help out and advise on the things that you need to advise on. But, you know, I think working is for the young.
Have I ever introduced you to Anthony Petrucci at Palma Pasta? Have you ever met Anthony?
I've met him once or twice during a couple of the TMLXs that were held.
Oh, cliffhanger, because your mic cut out on us. We were doing so well, too. Well, it's worth the wait. These are profound words coming from Brad. You back? Okay, I feel like you're back now. Let me hear you. Brad's doing everything he can to make sure I have to make some edits. Okay.
How's that?
I think if you're going to spend all summer up there, we're going to have to figure this out.
Can you hear?
I can hear you, but when you listen back, you'll hear.
Well, you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Oh, well, you're not missing much. That's it. Take a mental note. 19 minutes in, you've got some editing to do, Mike. Or not. So can you hear me now, Brad? Ground control to Mr. Jones.
How is that? Is that better?
Well, you're back. Can you hear me?
Back, but not right.
Yeah, you sound different too. You sounded better before.
Yeah, I think what happens is saying my USB device is not recognized. I don't know. An old laptop. I think I probably need to update my laptop.
How old is that laptop, Brad?
I'm going to say it's probably around 7 years old.
Oh yeah, that's a long time for a laptop.
It is. It is. So I think the USB doesn't fit in as well as it used to.
Well, to wrap up, the reason I asked you about Anthony is because his son Noah has been taking on more duties, and he's in a very like similar parallel to you, like having a child assume more duties in the family business. Like I think that must be good for you.
It is good. It's kind of interesting because you got to learn how to step back a little bit. And for the longest time, I didn't know how to do that. So it's one of those things that when you know you can start to take a back seat to some of the roles, and know that they're doing what needs to be done, so you can enjoy the things that you like to do.
Earlier, when I was asking you for a typical day in your life, you mentioned that there's a period of time in the morning where you'll check in and read the news. Does that ever make you reading the news? Does that ever make you want to just walk into the lake?
Um, the last 10 years, I probably just wanted to walk into the lake, but no, I think it's I don't know. People get a bent out of shape about things, but it goes in cycles like this. We have you know conflicts around the world. We have different leaderships than we want at home or abroad. It's just the way the world has always been. I looked at the stock market today, and the stock market's been up everywhere, which just boggles my mind. Because all the pundits were telling us that the stock market was going to collapse with what's been going on. But am I worried for Canada? Absolutely. Do I think we're not in a good place like we could be? Absolutely. But I think as a nation and as a people, we're pretty resilient and pretty strong, and pretty determined. So I think that as a nation, we'll figure it out. It might take us a little while, and there might be some hard times ahead. But truthfully, I can see a few things changing in the world, but I don't see Canada disappearing.
We're not going anywhere.
No, and I keep trying to imagine like the U.S. flag with a little maple leaf in the middle of all the stars, how that would look.
You're making me nauseous, Brad.
Yeah, well, maybe a couple maple leafs on there would start to change some of the stars to maple leafs as well, because there'd be a few more states that might be like-minded to our way of life than their way of life as they see it now.
Was there a big Canada Day celebration in your neck of the woods yesterday?
No, not really. We're in the middle of nowhere, really. So we saw the odd little bit of fireworks that would go off, but no, it was just a very typical cottage country Canada Day, right? I see more Canadian flags up in cottage country than I ever do in the city. I think people are a little bit more proud of it up here than they were in the city, and I think you know no one really hangs them on their front porch like they do in some other countries. It's more of a subdued thing, but when you get up to the cottage country, I think you know it's like 40% of the cottages have a flag out front.
Will I have you back in the TMDS studio for the next episode of Life's Undertaking?
Yep. No, I'll be back in the city that week, and I'll be, having to have no stress about technology that day, because it is not my problem when I'm in the studio.
No, it's my problem, which I prefer because I'm a control freak. I'm like, I can't fix your cable from here.
Well, the only thing that we can't control over there is the electricity going out like
Oh,
last
yeah.
time.
On that note, our guests last time, you know this, but they forgot their umbrella, and I was happy to deliver it to their daughter, who has taken possession of the umbrella. So mission accomplished there too.
Yep. No, that was a great episode. I enjoyed having Ray and Danielle in studio, but having that conversation with Ray, I think was a lot of fun for me. And you know, who knows where my coaching career is going to go, or what's going to happen with it next. But it's nice to be able to connect with people that keep you know, got me interested in coaching in Etobicoke quite a few years ago.
No, he's a legend. and we I think we gave him his flowers, but he's accomplished, how many, and we're, forget basketball, the golf numbers are mind-boggling, right? Like the 10 championships in 13 years or whatever. So it's anytime you get legends in the basement, it's a good thing, and that's why I wanted you back next episode.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to be live in person again. And as I say, I really enjoy my walk over to the studio, and it gives me a chance to think and clear my head from the day of work and get prepared for our episode. But I must say it's enjoyable being up here. Maybe next time we do one remote, you should just come up for the week and we can
Sold.
hang out here.
Sold.
Perfect. We'll get you and the family up, and we'll enjoy some pops, and your technology will work great up here, and then we'll spend the week doing it.